you've got an idea for a script, but you're wondering, similar to Groovy e.g., when do I know when I have a concept I think is worth spending 3 months to write about? Thinking practically has somewhat killed my creativity. And Groovy, I hear you, and so do a bunch of other people. And most of you aren't taking 3 months to write a script, to be honest. You're taking 6, 9, or 12 or more because you have other jobs and other commitments. So it is a conundrum. You are not sure your idea is good enough until you spend time fleshing it out. But if it's not going to be good when you're finished fleshing it out, you don't want to waste the time or the bandwidth on fleshing it out in the first place. So bad news first, there is no way to 100% know. There's not. I'm sorry. I wish there was, but there isn't. However, you can swing the odds in your favor quite a bit, and I'm going to give you 5 principles, tricks, and tips to help you sort this one out. Now, what I'm about to tell you is going to be pretty unpopular and pretty hard to hear for some of you. And I'm sorry this will be hard to hear, but I'm not sorry for saying it. My goal is to teach you, not placate you. And I know some of the snowflakes here are going to make comments on this video like they do on every other video about how I don't know what I'm talking about or how art is more important than the business of screenwriting or whatever else they want to say to justify going down a futile road. But here's the thing. I want you to get better and to have opportunities for success. So sometimes we have to do some real talk. So put on your big boy and big girl pants and hear what I'm about to tell you. Screenwriting and filmmaking in general is a business. The goal is to make money. People will want to buy your script because they think that with it, they can make some money. If they don't buy your script, it's because they don't think they can make any money. It's not because readers are bad or dumb or ignorant or don't have good story sense, as some of you like to comment. In fact, getting a pass on your script doesn't even mean that it's bad. Honestly, it might be very bad, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Quality just keeps the reader reading. You want to have something producers, managers, and agents know that if they have it, they can make some money. This is why trying to approach agents before you've even been offered anything is a waste of time. They don't want to spend time if no one is interested in what you have to sell. Agents trade their time for money. They aren't in it to help a brand new screenwriter. So it doesn't matter if your script is good. It doesn't matter if your script is your passion project. It doesn't matter if your mom came up with the idea or you dreamed it up one night after you stubbed your toe, fell to the floor, bounced your head off the linoleum bathroom floor, and then had a vision of the most epic movie or TV show ever. If no one thinks it will sell, they won't be interested in reading your script. But it's about a janitor who changes the lives of some middle schoolers. That's cool. Sounds heartwarming. No one's buying it. But it's about this assassin at the end of their career, and they have one last job to do, but they have a change of heart. Okay, I've seen that like 97 times. But it's about a writer who is having trouble coming up with an idea for a story when the characters literally come to life and the writer has to find a way to get them back into the novel. Really, Skippy? You're writing a story about a writer? Oh, they live super exciting lives. And if you get nothing else out of this video, here are your 2 options. Have something that other people want to buy, or make it yourself and prove the market wrong. And the latter does happen. Okay, it does. An aspiring writer has an idea, they try to sell it, no one's interested in buying it, the writer figures out how to make it cheaply with friends or whoever, and it's lightning in a bottle. So it does happen. People do actually win the lottery too. So those are your 2 options. And yeah, in a way, it feels like it's killing your creativity because you really want to write a story about an assassin or some janitor at a school or a writer, but you have to understand that if you want to find success, you have to have something worth selling. Something that makes others think they can make money with what you have. That's why movies get greenlit. That's why scripts get bought. That's why writers get hired. That is what gets you in the room. So yes, you absolutely have to know if you have a good enough idea. And I mention all of that to contextualize what I mean when I say a good idea. It's an idea that others think they can make money with. Period. So while a good idea should be interesting or clever, intriguing, a host of other things, all of which are important, the linchpin of whether an idea is actually good or not is whether someone thinks they can make money with it or not. And so I go back to the bad news I mentioned earlier. You can never know 100% that your idea is good, but you can swing the odds in your favor. So now I'm going to give you those 5 things that will help, not guarantee, but definitely help in your quest for a good idea. 1, if you don't know what a story actually is, you have no shot at knowing whether your idea is good or not. Why? Well, because you have to know if you actually have a story or if you just have a premise or a setup for a story. Not Act 1 or Act 3 only. The story doesn't live there. The story lives in Act 2. And you need an Act 2 because that's the bulk of your script. And simply, that's what you're selling, a story. So you better deliver. And you may be familiar with stories. You've read them or watched them your whole life. But do you know how to break one down? Do you know what its components are? Do you know what are the pieces you have to have and the pieces that are nice to have? Do you know how to package those pieces together so you have a whole story? If you don't, you need to learn. If you don't know what a story actually is, you're going to have a very hard time selling one. But if you know what a story is and you know you have an idea for one, you already have a better chance at creating a story that will be of interest to others. And that is what you really want. 2, if you can't express your idea in one succinct sentence, nope, not a good idea. Now, I realize you haven't written it yet, but you have to be able to express your idea in a succinct and intriguing logline. And when you send a query email letting someone know about your script, they're going to spend literally 20 seconds reading it. And if your email takes longer than that to read, it's an auto pass most of the time. 20 seconds. You've got to quickly express your idea in a way that makes them think, oh, this could sell, or oh, this sounds interesting. And if it's good, we can figure out how to sell it. Because if you can't figure out how to express your great idea for a movie or TV show in a succinct logline before you start writing, how are you going to know if you've got something after you've written it? Why waste the time? Figure out ahead of time if you have an idea you can express in a simple logline. And a good rule of thumb is if you share your logline with someone, can they imagine the movie poster or the trailer for it? And if they can't, it's not marketable enough. Or when was the last time you saw a movie poster about a janitor and a group of middle school troublemakers called Cleaned Up? My guess is very few of you, if any, have any interest in seeing that movie. And that brings me to number 3. When you tell others your idea, they should want to go see it right then. Otherwise, not a good idea. Moms, significant others, and best friends don't count unless they are of the brutally honest kind. When you share your idea with others, how do they react? If they're like, oh, that's great, or oh, that sounds like you really like it, or oh, that's interesting, all of those mean a no. It's not interesting enough. Now, yes, you need to keep in mind that different people have different tastes. So this doesn't mean if one person doesn't spark to it that it's bad. It may just have to do with your delivery, which is a whole other skill you're going to have to get good at down the road because once you've made it in the room, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to demonstrate that other skill. But we're talking about creating an idea that is good, and the execution of the script is what gets you in the room in the first place. Okay, so we got to have a good idea just to begin the process. So yeah, not everyone's going to like it. But if you're pitching an action movie to people who love action movies and none of them spark to it, okay, it's probably a bad idea. If they're all like, oh, I want to go see that tomorrow, okay, now you have something worthwhile. And yes, this means you do talk to other people about your idea. I know you want to keep it a secret, but talk about it with people you trust or who are in context, safe context that you are in. Don't go blabbing it around a gathering in LA, but if you're in Nebraska, ask anyone who's going to listen. And here's a crazy note. One thing you can do is combine this with the previous thing I mentioned about log lines. I've mentioned this before. It sounds stupid, I know, but I do know several people who do it. They come up with a log line they think has merit, and then they start sending query letters to see if anyone wants to read that script. If they get a positive response back from 20% or more of the people they sent it to, they drop everything and they write that script. Why? Because it is indicated it's a good idea and people think they can make some money off of it. And then when they finish the script in a couple of months, because they've honed the process of how to write a script quickly, they send it in. By the way, if you want to work with some other like-minded people who are honing the process of writing a marketable screenplay, you might want to consider joining my coaching program, The Navigator. It is linked below. We go through the process from idea to polished draft a couple of times a year. We write scripts. I read the scripts that are written, and I give notes. Now, The Navigator is not for everyone. But if you want to book a free call with me to talk about the Navigator and whether it's a good fit for you, click the link below. A fourth way to help you know if you have a good idea or not is to practice. If you don't practice and fail, nope, you're probably not going to have good ideas. Now, I know it feels like a waste of time, but if you haven't been in the trenches with a bad idea, it's harder to know if your idea is actually good. When you spend time with a bad idea, you begin to see a lot of the potential problems with new ideas. And what you think of as a waste of time, namely coming up with a bunch of bad ideas, actually isn't a waste of time at all. Because the gap you're trying to close here is one of your sensibilities as they relate to what is a good story and what isn't, what's a good idea and what isn't. You see, when you first start out, you might watch a movie or TV show and you kind of know if it's good or not. In fact, that's one of our first adjectives we apply. It's a good movie or it's a bad TV show. But how do you know? I mean, really know. And at first you don't. You have a sense, your sensibilities make you lean one way or the other, but you don't know. You can't articulate it. But the more you watch stories, the more you read, the more you learn, the more you analyze, not only do your sensibilities change, you begin to be able to articulate why an idea is good or bad, and you begin to hone your sense. That way, when you come up with a bad idea, you don't just know, oh, that's a bad idea. Okay, you begin to articulate why. And knowing the why helps you begin to craft better ideas and eventually ideas that are great. But you cannot be afraid of coming up with some stinkers along the way. That's part of the process. You have to practice and you have to fail because only in failure will begin to understand what is actually good. Give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission to come up with a bad idea. It's okay. And as your sensibilities improve, you'll begin to know it's bad, not just after you've created it, but as you're creating it. And now you can make them better. Or you can just know that it's going to be bad. You just need to move on to something else entirely, something that's better. And this one leads to the last tip that I'm going to give you that's going to help you out in crafting good ideas. You must come up with lots of ideas. Now, if you only come up with one idea at a time, nope. Okay, you're just trying to come up, oh, I'm going to come up with one, and then you start trying to figure out if it's good. No, come up with a bunch of ideas at once. Challenge yourself to come up with 10 good ideas. But to find those 10 good ideas, you're going to need to generate 50 to 100 total ideas. And some are going to be bad. Most will be mediocre. And it's fine because we've given ourselves permission to fail and to have some stinkers. But in that list of 50 or 100, a few are going to be really good. And then, because your sensibilities have been improved, you will even be able to take 2 ideas that you think are mediocre, merge them together, and come up with something great. So here's some homework for you. Before you start working on your next script, come up with 50 unique log lines for a movie or TV show. That's 50. Know that some of them are not going to be good. That's fine. Know that a few will be good. Test them out on others by communicating them in the one sentence and gauge their reaction. And make sure you actually have a story, and doing those 5 things is going to give you a much better shot at having an idea that is actually good, meaning someone else would see it as an idea where they could make some money. And here's something else. In the comments below, write a bad log line for a movie. Practice writing bad log lines and do it here in the comments. Doing that actually is a very helpful exercise because you're going to learn quickly what not to do. And there are some ideas, honestly, that you should not be writing because they will either cause you problems or they're going to limit your opportunities. And you can find out about those by watching this. Thank you for watching. Fun buttons and links below. And when you tell a story, do everything you can to come up with a good idea before you start writing a script and tell a story that matters. See you later.